All right, let's talk about the future of work. We're looking ahead to 2035, and believe me, the professional world is going through a massive transformation. So in this explainer, we're going to break down what all of this really means for you, for your career, your identity, and yeah, even your wallet. Let's dive right in. For as long as any of us can remember, we've been told to think about our careers in one specific way, like a ladder. You start at the bottom, you put in the time, and you just keep climbing, rung by rung. But what if that whole idea is just disappearing? What if the career ladder itself is becoming a thing of the past? Well, instead of a ladder, I want you to imagine your career as a portfolio, something you actively build and shape over time, piece by piece, project by project. See, the goal isn't climbing up anymore. It's about building out. And that, right there, is the huge shift we're going to explore.
Okay, so first up, let's dig into why the old model is falling apart. We're calling this section the fraying thread, and it's because that central promise, the stable, lifelong career, is really starting to come apart at the seams.
I mean, think about it. The social contract of the last century was pretty simple, right? You give a company your loyalty, you work hard, and they give you security in return. A job for life, a pension, a clear path forward. For a huge part of the workforce today, that promise is just gone. It's unraveling. That thread of stability that our parents and grandparents relied on, it's fraying.
So what's actually causing this great unraveling? I mean, this isn't happening in a vacuum. There are these massive economic and technological forces at play, and they are completely reshaping what it even means to have a job.
On one hand, you've got AI and automation, which are fundamentally changing knowledge work as we know it. But at the exact same time, you've got the rise of the platform economy. Think about sites like Upwork or Fiverr. They've created these huge global marketplaces for skills, making it super easy for companies to hire a specialist for one project instead of hiring a full-time employee.
And the scale of this change, it's just staggering. Projections are showing that by 2035, more than half, 50% of the entire US workforce will be independent contractors, freelancers, or gig workers. Just let that sink in for a second. That's 1 out of every 2 workers essentially being their own boss, for better or for worse.
Now, this completely changes what a team even looks like. A project team in 2035 isn't some static department in an office building. It's going to be a much more fluid thing. As you can see here, a team might only have a small core of full-time employees, maybe just 15%, but they'll be supported by freelance specialists, gig contractors, and even AI assistants. They all come together for a project, and when it's done, they disband.
So, if that old fabric is unraveling, what's supposed to replace it? This brings us to the new model, the thing that's emerging from all this change, the portfolio career. It's all about learning how to weave a new professional fabric for ourselves.
Now, a portfolio career isn't just a fancy way of saying, I'm a freelancer. It's much more strategic than that. It's about intentionally building a diverse collection of projects, roles, and income streams. You're leveraging your skills in different ways, which actually builds a kind of resilience because you're not relying on just one thing.
So what does this actually look like in the real world? Well, you might not be the chief marketing officer for one big company anymore. Instead, you could be a fractional CMO for 3 different startups at the same time. Or maybe you're an on-demand data analyst for enterprise clients, or a VR experience designer who works on a contract basis. See the shift? You're not selling your time anymore, you're selling your specialized expertise to lots of different clients.
Okay, so how do you actually do this? Well, navigating this new world requires a whole new playbook. It really starts with identifying your single most valuable core skill. Then, the goal is to find an anchor project. That's a stable, maybe longer-term client who gives you a baseline income. From there, you diversify with smaller gigs, you use tech to automate all that boring admin work, and, this is crucial, you are constantly reinvesting in learning to keep your skills sharp.
And this brings us to what might be the biggest shift of all, the change in our own identity. I mean, if you're not defined by your employer anymore, then who are you? In this new world, you're the weaver. You are the one in charge of shaping your own career story.
This quote just nails it. It perfectly captures the new professional identity. Think about it. A title like senior manager is something a company gives you, and they can just as easily take it away. But your reputation for being reliable, for doing incredible work, for being a true expert in your field, that's something you build project by project, and that travels with you no matter where you go.
Of course, this shift completely rewires our financial lives. The old 20th century model was built on a single, steady paycheck, right? Employer-provided benefits, company-paid training. In the 2035 model, all of that changes. Your income suddenly comes from multiple streams. Things like benefits and retirement, that's all on you to self-fund. And skill development goes from being a company perk to a personal business expense. Basically, all of that financial responsibility shifts from the company directly onto you.
And that brings us to our final question. You see, the 20th century career ladder gave us more than just a paycheck. For a lot of people, it gave them a sense of identity, a sense of purpose. As that structure fades away, we're all left with a much bigger, much more personal challenge. If your job title and your company no longer define who you are, what does? That's the real question we all need to start answering.